everybody's time for a large crowd here. It means a lot to us. Thank you so much for showing up. This organization would not exist without all of you guys, without all the support that we receive. So we thank you so much. We have worked really, really hard. We have a great board. I want to recognize those people here in just a minute. But we've worked really hard on trying to secure funding. We've worked with volunteers, try to get them to show up and make improvements to a trail. So tonight, this is really all that you guys.
In by the screen.
And it's also for us as well.
Otherwise, I'm fairly good to
We
screen.
want input from all of you to make the trail better. It's our trail. It's your trail. It's our community. So we have some things in the back. Well, I guess one of the most important things, we do have some snacks. So please help yourself out some of the snacks in the back. But we also have some, back here we have some cards and what have you. We have some sticky notes. Travis is raising his hand back there. We've got some maps and what have you. So please inform yourselves as you go and visit our table back there. Feel free to write down any comments. We've got those sticky notes. We don't really have a place for those. Just write something down on sticky notes, stick it on the table. We've also got some pads back there, so feel free to write anything down there as well. So again, this is for you guys. This is for all of us. Let me introduce myself. My name is Mike Atkinson. I have the privilege of serving as the president of Joplin. And at this time, I'd like to recognize some of our board members. If board members are out there, if you would please stand up, and I will try to do my best to recognize you guys. So we'll start with Paul. Paul is one of the founding fathers of this. Back in 1990, they started having discussions about the Joplin Trails. So thank you, Paul, for all your hard work and effort, and I think Paul really deserves it. We have Pat White, board member at large, and he has been really the voice of wisdom for all of us. So thank you for that. Okay, and then we have Cliff. Cliff is our treasurer. He's the one, we like to make him mad sometimes. He wants to make sure we have money in our accounts, but we want to see improvements. So, anyway, thank you. We have Chase standing all the way in the back. So, just a board member at large, but Chase is really, he lives very close to the Frisco Greenway trail, and he rides up and down it a lot, and he's kind of our eyes and ears, and he lets us know really quick if we need to make improvements to that. So, thank you for your efforts on that. Back here we have Dan. He is our media guy. He's the one that puts stuff on Facebook and all that stuff. I don't understand it all, but he helped me prepare the presentation. So he's been very instrumental in a lot of those areas as well. So thank you, Dan. Our newest board member is Lindy Allen. So she's just a board member at large. She just comes to us here recently within the last, 2 or 3 weeks, I guess. And so we are looking forward to working with you, Lindy.
Thank you.
And then one more person who's not a board member, but has been extremely instrumental. The success of Joplin Trails is really hinged on the efforts of Bob Hertz. Bob, please raise your hand. So Bob is also our past president. He served as board member, moved up, but we quickly realized that Bob was working really hard. He was spending a lot of time organizing volunteers. He was driving around all over the place. He would clean up our trail. He would spray vegetation. He would coordinate the maple leaf ride. I mean, he was doing all kinds of things. So in all fairness, he was expending a lot of his own money and gas and everything else doing that. So it seemed that at the time to do something different for Bob. So Bob is now really an employee. He's under contract with the company. So now he's on a reimbursement program. Anyway, he works very hard for us, and Bob is, he's working on fundraising. He goes out and seeks grants, he knocks on doors, does our grant applications, we assist Bob in those endeavors as well. So, and also he is, and so this is really, for tonight, there's actually several things that we want to do. One, we want to receive input from you, that's our agenda, that's one of the most important things we want to do. We want to receive comments on how we can make this thing better. And the other thing too is, one thing that we're really, really excited about is this Frisco Ruby Gem connection. We've been talking about it for a long, long time. We want to make it happen. We've divided the project up into phases, so smaller bite-sized pieces, something that we can fund. I will say that it's changed a lot, and I will say this, that's probably not going to be the final form. Bob will get into that in more detail as we go through the phasing of this. But I will say this, we are excited. It's a little different. We decided to do phase 2 first. Phase 2 is the light green. Normally you start with 1, but phase 2 is what we would consider low-hanging fruit. So it fit in the budget, it was easy, and we wanted to show you guys that we are making some efforts on this. But phase 1 is going to be right behind it. So this is what we're excited about. So I will let Bob take it and run with it. I want to say one more thing. We do have another board member that just walked in. I do not want her to be unrecognized. Sorry, we're going to point you up for being late. We do have a good time too. So yeah, this is Beth, a board member at large. She's been with us for a long, long time. So she's over 10 years. Wow, look at that. So very valuable asset. All right. We want to be respectful for everybody's time. So Bob, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I just wanted to say, first off, that the Trail Coalition, the board members got really serious about doing this connection, and we began to realize that it was going to involve a lot of work, and there was no way possible for us to do this as a volunteer organization. If we were to really seriously pursue this, it was going to take a lot of money and a lot of contacts and a lot of meetings. So I really appreciate the board hiring me on to take on this project. It's a passion. I really, really desire to see this happen, and so I'm working very hard. And we need support. We can't do this by ourselves. Okay. So I'm going to inform you of what we're up to, and then I'll take any questions. The gentleman here in the blue shirt over here, his name is John Nichols, and he's the Cardinal Valley Habitat Manager. And he's hired by Webb City, and we're going to be talking about the Cardinal Valley Habitat tonight, because that's the area that this trail is going to be going through. Okay. So, that's another turn. It's not changing, Dan. Do you have any suggestion on that? Well, you might, that's the front desk. All right, I could do a song and dance while we're doing it. All right, I'm just gonna, you wanna talk to the front desk? They'll
I'll change it for you.
All right, I don't know if it's gonna work. It's nothing's changing. All right, well, I'm just gonna talk until Dan gets this figured out. Dan put together this slideshow and he worked really hard on it, so I hope that we can get this thing working. Maybe the connection to the internet, you might check that. All right, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about where we're at today. We have people constantly asking us, when are you guys gonna connect the Frisco and the Ruby Jack? And for a long time, we wanted to do it, we just didn't have the funding to do it. And thanks to a couple of generous donations from some of the local businesses, we are finally in a position to be able to do one of the phases, all right? And the phase that we can afford to do right now is the second one, which is in the green. Now, just to give you an idea where that is at, if you're going up North Madison, just out of Wood City, north of Stadium Drive, on the west side of the road is the entrance to the wastewater treatment plant. And just a little to the north is where our trail is gonna start. And we're gonna build a parking lot there. Then it's gonna go west, and then it'll curve around right by the wastewater treatment plant. And then it'll go between two ponds that are there. And so I think this is probably one of the prettiest sections of the whole trail. John, do you agree with me on that? Yeah. You're not gonna disagree tonight. We'll disagree tomorrow, right? There's a lot for those of you who like to watch birds, it's an area that attracts migratory birds. I've seen bald eagles out there, and blue herons. So those of you who like to do that sort of thing, you might even go out there now. John has been cutting trails, but they're not suitable for biking or running, but for walking they're fine. Okay? I've seen deer out there and some foxes, so there's all kinds of things going on. But we think that we wanted to do this because we felt like we needed momentum. In other words, we needed to show the public that we were really serious about doing this, doing the connection. And I think we're gonna get some positive publicity out of it. And once we get the public awareness and they're behind us and they're saying, hey, we wanna help you do this, well then we're going to, be able to work a lot faster, all right? So that's the strategy that we are employing. Now, the good news, and I'll just jump ahead a little bit. The good news is that we have almost the entire trail planned, the entire connection. That is really exciting. The only thing holding us up is on the north side of Center Creek. There are private landowners that we are trying to negotiate with, and some of them want to talk to us and some of them don't. And so, you know how that is. We've actually talked to two or three, and things can also possibly change, but at this point, we haven't had any interest in them working with us. But we have 4 plans. We're on plan C right now. So hopefully, before too long, we're gonna have something on the north side. Once we get the north side figured out, Mike and I will be able to sit down and figure out a plan on how much it's gonna cost, the whole thing, and then we'll be able to go to the public and say, this is what we're wanting and this is how much money we need, and we're gonna ask the public to, give donations to help support the work, okay? The other thing right now that's up in the air is Orinoco. If you ever look at the satellite map, you can see the trail where the miners used to go to work. The Frisco Trail actually was the main trail line that took the miners to work, and they dump them off there at the depot there in Orinoco, and you can still see where the train tracks were. In Orinoco, if you look at where the Ruby Jack by Grant Street, you see 2 trails that go off in different directions, all right? So what we want to do is we want to use those for our trail, but Orinoco is in the planning phase of building a park right there. And so what they told me was, we don't want you building the trail before we build the park, but after we build the park, then you can build your trail there. So, and I understand that, because they might have to move the trail around if, it doesn't work for them. So, those are the two things right now that are up in the air. The other phases, Webb City owns all of that land, and they have been very good about working with us. They want this as much as we do. Back in the day when it was, mine tailings were still there and it was, it wasn't safe to be out there. EPA came in the 90s and did a major cleanup. And then Webb City saw the opportunity to use that land for a park. And so they've been in the process of buying up all of that land. And as of right now, they have over 1,000 acres that they have bought. And one of the things, just one of them, is that they want to build a recreational trail. So they approached us and they said, hey, would you guys work with us on that? And we said, yeah, we were really excited about doing that. And so that's where we're at with that. All right. John and I have been working real close, and he's had some real good suggestions about where he thinks the trail should go. But other than that, I'm going to start taking questions from the audience, because I think we're having technical problems. And any questions that I can answer up to this point? Any questions? Yes, Mike.
What are the bridge ideas getting over Center Creek?
All right, well, that's a good question. Fortunately, Mike here is the president, and he's also a civil engineer specializing in bridges. Mike, you want to handle this one?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why we divided that up into different, why you see the lengths the way that you do, is because a bridge is very expensive. They're very expensive. So that's the yellow section that you see up there. You'll see later, if we don't get this working, we sincerely apologize for that. But in the back, we do have a display that shows the 6 different phases, and it shows a little more detail. But you guys are familiar with the Reddings Mill Bridge, how the trail goes across, and then if you can go down, you switch back underneath and walk on Shoal Creek. Well, this is how this is set up. So, so a bridge, very expensive. We're probably looking at $1 million. We actually haven't run the numbers yet, but what we would like to do is, there's been some discussions. Do we put the bridge next to the existing county road bridge? Do we attach it? Do we make a standalone? We're kind of leaning toward a standalone because it's that way you don't interrupt traffic and whatever, and really for the most part it's probably cheaper. Webb City has the land right there. It all belongs to us, or it belongs to them, and they're allowing us to use it. So bridges are, you can really run into amounts of $2,500 a foot. So looks like we're up and running. So Bob.
All right. Are you going to do it back there?
Yeah, just tell me when you want to switch.
How about if I do my pointer?
It's not,
And signal you?
just point at me.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, well, thank you for coming to the rescue there. All right, let's go on to the next one there. So these are some of the things that were the benefits on the left. Of course, the city connectivity. I think that's probably the biggest draw. We'll be the only county in the state of Missouri that will have 5 of our population centers connected by a rail trail. No other county can say that. It's going to be, I think, something that the Visitor Bureau can run with. As I mentioned in the right there, the birds. It's a great viewing area. There's a lot of people that go out there fishing right now. The new bridge is certainly going to be a huge draw. On the right, the challenges. When EPA came and cleaned up, they put dirt over the existing rail bed, so we're starting all over from scratch, and that's going to be expensive. We're in a floodplain. That's where it says in the watershed. So that's the reason that we can still build a park there, and that's a very common thing for cities to do. They know they can't build buildings there, but there is land that is usable for recreation. And when the floods come, they'll recede, and you just do a little cleanup, and there's your park. Okay, so that's not as big of a problem. The thing with, we're not gonna be able to do gravel trails in that floodplain. We're gonna have to do cement or asphalt, one of the two. And, that's expensive. So that's gonna drive up the cost. That's why this project is really expensive, because of those challenges. Okay, so this is our plan. We have 6 phases of construction. We're gonna have 3 parking areas. The total distance is 3.78 miles. We're gonna use the existing trails where they exist, and we are planning on starting construction on phase 2 this spring. Okay, so this is the 6 phases. Sorry, they're all color-coded. If you see the map on the right, the purple would be the phase 1, and the one we're starting on is the green, the light green. Okay, so if you get a look at that, and you can kind of see there are the distances. Phase 1 and 2 will be the longest of those. Okay. Okay, so some of you might not know where the Cardinal Valley Habitat is. The pink area is the area that Webb City has been buying up. You can see it extends quite a ways. It's, like I said, over 1,000 acres that they have bought with the intent of using it for parks. They're also doing some building in there, some stores, new stores have gone in. So that's, I think that just goes to show Carl Francis, the visionary that he is, be able to see, take a useless piece of land and turn it into something productive. Okay, so these are the 6 phases, and we're gonna start with phase 1. This is the phase 1 starts at Stadium Drive, right next to the football stadium. Okay, so if you look on the right there, that's where Stadium Drive is, and this is basically the old rail line that took miners to work. That's the purple that you see there. Okay. So this is looking north on Stadium Drive. There's a little bit of a slope that we'll have to deal with. And we're going to the northwest now. As you can see, it's all open. All right, thanks to John. He's got a swath through there for people to walk right now, and we're going to be using that for our trail. All right, well, one of the things that we're going to have to deal with, there's a lot of water in this phase 1, so this is this little creek here, we're going to build a culvert over it, but that drives up your costs. So that's what we're dealing with there. As you can see, this is one of the strategies that Webb City has employed, is to, in order to kind of neutralize the lead that was in the land, they're putting compost over that, and it's been working really well. All right, so it'll be very safe for trail users to be on there. All right, and this is the end of phase 1, as approaching 2:30. As you look over across the way where that telephone pole is, somewhere in that vicinity is going to be where the parking lot is. All right, we're going to talk about phase 2, the area that we're going to be working on. Okay. This is looking directly west of where the parking lot is, and this actually is above the floodplain, so that this is an area that we can have a gravel trail here. Is that correct, John? Is this area floodplain, to your knowledge?
I think it's elevated above.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're elevated. So this section will be gravel. All right. All right. That was on the right. That's one of the ponds. There's also one there on the left. This is the old rail line that miners used to take to work. So we're gonna just use that and follow it all the way to the north end of the pond there. All right, phase 3. This is where you're getting into floodplain. This is, part of it, we're gonna be able to do, be gravel, and I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so the very first thing we're gonna have to negotiate is the creek, a little creek right there. So Mike's got a plan in his head already how to navigate that. All right, now this was back in the day when the railroads were using this, they built a big berm over the floodplain, and that's how the train was able to keep going even when it was flooding. We're gonna use that. We're gonna have to do a lot of cutting. It's heavily populated with trees now, but it's still cheaper than cement. So we're gonna be able to put a gravel trail on top of this berm until right before Center Creek. All right, now just a little bit before the berm ends, so this is where the cement is gonna start. And as Mike said, we're gonna do a clover leaf over or underneath the bridge. Okay, that's 230 right there. All right, now this is one that Mike said is gonna cost a lot, phase 4. So if you look at the yellow, all right, you see how it's gonna clover leaf, and it's gonna run parallel to the existing bridge. There's all kinds of regulations that I was not aware of when you're building in a floodplain. FEMA has all kinds of rules and regulations, and Mike's very familiar, and he has determined that the best way to do this is to run a bridge parallel to it, okay? So this is the approach. This is part of the clover leaf. John's got that all cut very nicely. All right, this is from the north side of Center Creek, and you can see from the arrows where the bridge is going to be, okay? All right, now phase 5. Now this is the area that's up in the air, and I'll point to a couple things here. All right, so originally we wanted to come up here and then go through the Ordogo Cemetery. All right, so we talked to the landowner, and he was really nice. He didn't run us off, but he said that he wanted his family to enjoy their privacy. Just for the record, if you see this cemetery here, floods have been known to go up that far. All right. Now I just talked to this gentleman the other day, and he was really nice, but he was not interested in working with us either. Okay. So we got 2 choices. We're thinking about going along 230, and then coming along up here, and then we may have to go. This is I think 2nd Street. We may have to go up there and use that, but we're hoping that some of the landowners might change their mind. All right, you see here, this is the old rail line. You can still see it. All right. Okay. All right, I took these before I knew that this wasn't going to work. This is the land that we wanted to do first, but we're not gonna be able to go that route. All right, you might just come through here, kind of go fast through here. This land does actually belong to Webb City, so they might be able to do something else with it. I don't know. It might be good for mountain biking in that area. That would be really fun, but we won't be able to put a recreational trail through there. All right, this is on the very eastern end of Webb City's property. All right, now phase 6. All right, this is after we've crossed Center Creek. We're in the city of Orinoco. We're going to be covering a distance of 0.78 miles, and most of it's going to be on roads. this is Dewey Street, and then it turns right into John, if you guys are familiar. So what we're gonna have to do, or for now, until Orno decides where their park is gonna go, we're gonna use Morgan Street, and that runs right into Grant, and then that will connect to the Ruby Jack. Okay, Dan? Okay, just a look at Dewey Street. That's on the other side is John Street. Just out of this right over here. EPA just came and did a major cleanup of this whole area. It used to be the Circle Mine, which was the biggest producer of lead in the whole country at one time, till it closed. And EPA came and did a cleanup, and I talked to Orinoco, the Parks and Recreation people, and they want to put a trail right through there, which would be fantastic. All right, so we're hoping that's what they're going to do. All right, we like to use natural vegetation and surroundings as much as possible when it is possible. Okay, Dan? All right, this is Morgan Street that we're going to use. Orinoco has their park, we're going to use this road, and then we're going to go through these woods over here. Okay. This is Grant, and the next one. All right, that's the parking lot, so that's where it's going to end. Okay. What do we got next? All right, the remaining challenges are the right-of-ways that I've talked about, funds, of course, and grants. So those are the things we're working on right now as we speak. All right, there's our newest board member on the left there. Yeah, she took a selfie. All right, and another person right here is here with us tonight. All right, giving us money. No, I'm sorry. This is Jim Gant. He was giving us the money. All right. Okay. All right. I think we got one more slide here. All right. So if you want to go to our website, we have this PowerPoint on there. If you want to show some of your friends what we're doing. This is how to volunteer. If you want to adopt a section of trail, it'll give you the sections that we've divided, and you can tell me which one you want to do. This is through Web City, and this talks about just the Cardinal Valley habitat, and they've got some really interesting things about how they've cleaned all that up. And our Facebook page, and then if you want to make a contribution, you just click on that, and it'll take you to our website where you can contribute. Okay, I think that's it. All right, now I'm going to take questions, and if you have anything you would like to know about, John's here from the Habitat. He can answer any questions about that. Mike can do the technical things.
Make sure you use the microphone
Oh, okay.
for questions.
You can't hear me, huh? All right. So, questions? Yes, sir.
Timeline. So you mentioned phase 2 will start in the spring. So
Hold on just a second. We're recording, so they want to hear your voice. Phil Donahue.
Oh, good seeing. All right, so the light green is phase 2. That'll be the first phase that starts this spring. That is funded,
Yes.
like cash in the bank.
Yes.
And then phase 1 will be next. And is that grant dependent? Is that banked and funded? Where are we at, like on the phases as far as funding?
That's a good question.
So the question is how are we going to fund phase 1? We have some money in the bank that we're going to have left over from phase 2, but not enough. So we're going to be, writing grants, also taking contributions from the public. The original estimate for phase 1 was $260,000, but that's going to come down because we had to do a reroute, and we were originally going to go all the way up to the Hawthorne Road, and now we don't have to do that. So, we haven't refigured, but I know that it's gonna be a lot less than 260. Mike, you got an estimate, on that?
The only thing we can do right now is just run with that estimate. We're concentrating on phase two, but one thing, Bob, that Bob's working on is we would like to use the money that we have or any local grant money that we secure to leverage federal aid grants. So a lot of those federal aid grants are an 80-20. So if we come up with a 20, we can leverage the 80. So we did apply for it one time, and it's very, very, very competitive. And so I think we put in 20 to 30%. I can't remember the 30%. So but what happens, the way it works is the more match money that you put in, the more percentage points, more points you get. So some of these, we put in 30, that was all we can leverage. We were keeping our fingers crossed, we weren't successful, that's okay, we'll just keep reapplying. So some of the entities also, we're also competing against the city government as well. And I will say this, we've had a lot of support from city government. Web Cities, City of Joplin has been a huge supporter. They write us a lot of letters of support that help with the grant selection committee. But some of these guys are writing that they're matching up to 45%. So it's a lot. So that leaves us coughing up a lot more money to meet those grants, the matters. So, but we're not giving up. We're still trying, and with Bob's efforts, we'll continue working on that. So.
It's a good question. Mike, passing that down.
Well, you said you were gonna start this spring. How long do you think phase two will take?
I have an estimate. You wanna? Okay. I think the really good thing about phase two, there are no trees that we're gonna have to clear like we normally do. It's pretty well open, and there's a lot of gravel that's there. So it's gonna be really pretty straightforward. Not a lot of problems with this area. I'm thinking probably 3 to 4 weeks. Is that a good estimate? Once we start, 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, you'll be able to start using it very soon. Okay. Another question? Good questions.
So you're starting on phase one at Stadium Drive. So how is the connection back to the Frisco, back to 171? How is that playing out?
Well, we're gonna be working closely with Web City on that. That's all their property. So just judging from the support that we have gotten from Carl Francis, and he is extremely pro-trail, I'm thinking that he'll come up with a way to connect those. Some of it, we cannot use the old rail line because it's now private property. So we're probably gonna have to use city sidewalks for some of it. We would like for them to make it, like an 8 to 10 foot wide, like they do in Fayetteville and down at the Frisco Greenway. I'm not sure that's gonna happen, but we're gonna suggest that. Once they get to the high school, right to the north, they have a really wide asphalt path, and that is 10 feet. So part of that is they're going to be able to use. All right. Any others? Oh, way in the back. Okay.
You had talked about a problem with lead. The Environmental Protection Agency came in and had to do some cleanup.
Yes.
So is there any other environmental issues anywhere along the trail or safety?
I'm gonna defer to John on this one. He's an expert on the habitat and the current condition of it.
Yeah, so This area, as you mentioned before, this area has, the EDPA came in and did a lot of remediation work over the last decade or so. Most of this area was cleaned up like around 2011 or so, between 2011 and 2016, different spots. So there's no like mine waste at the surface anymore. There's a few areas, part of this is where there's like mine waste that's buried under 2 feet of clay and soil. But it's, you know, there's gonna be really no danger of humans coming in contact with that. So that's the nice thing. Yeah, this area has pretty much all been cleaned up to my knowledge.
So John, when you say they kept it, they captured it, right? Is that what you're saying, they hauled in the trail and captured it?
Yeah, they hauled in clean material, so they capped it with a layer of clay to be kind of a water barrier, and then they put a foot of topsoil on top of that. So that's what
Get to your microphone.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, they put about a foot of clay over everything, and then a foot of topsoil on top of that. And so that's why I'm growing prairie grass in right now. So all this area is managed as habitat, mostly prairies, which are nice for trails because of big trees to navigate or to have to clear. And then there's a bunch of ponds down there in the bottomlands that hopefully in the future we're going to be stocking with fish, and it's going to be kind of a recreational nexus right there.
You might want to tell about using the compost on the area, where there wasn't any vegetation.
Yeah, so a lot of the area in there, kind of through this valley, a couple decades ago, this was all chat piles. This is like some of the densest chat piles in the county. It was kind of right there between Carterville and Rose City and Roanoke. And so when the EPA cleaned all that up, a lot of it was just kind of left barren. Just kind of this rocky clay subsoil and stuff. And so we've got a big composting operation out at the wastewater treatment plant there. And we've been working kind of acre by acre, putting compost over everything and then replanting that as prairie. It's kind of, like you said, we have about 1,000 acres around the city that we're managing as habitat. It's kind of a mix of these former mine lands, and then we kind of have some pockets of woodlands that were never mined. They're just kind of remnant areas around there, and it kind of stretches down from the intersection of 161 or 181 and 249, and runs all along Pins Branch and then up to Center Creek and the bottoms there down between Roanoke and Mosley.
Thank you.
Man, those are really good questions. Anything else?
You had mentioned getting these grants. Are all these grants local, or are they regional? Are there any national, like for example, Rails to Trails, that kind of thing, or is it just all based right here?
All of the above. All right. DNR, we've been very successful with, and their grants come open every single year. The problem with DNR is we have to wait, and then a number of months before we know whether we get it or not. So I've been, we apply to local foundations as much as possible. Also, we just got done, there was a new grant from the Missouri Department of Conservation. And I thought we were gonna get that, I really did. John did a fabulous job of writing it. And we're not sure why they turned us down, but I'm gonna call them up and say, hey, what do we need to do different next year? And I just got done writing a grant to T-Mobile for $50,000. It's called the Hometown Grant. They like to invest in projects in small towns. So we're waiting, we should know something by middle of February on that. But the good news is whether we get that or not, we still have the funds to be able to start phase 2. So we're full steam ahead. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
You said phase 2 would be 4 to 6 weeks. After that point, we wait for grants, or you can start on phase 1.
Well, that's, as quick as we get the money in, however we get it. As soon as we get enough money, we'll have to have some reserve in the bank, which is good about telling us how much we can have, but once we get the funding, we'll go ahead and start building phase 1. The money has been coming from different sources. Sometimes generous individuals will just give us a large amount of money. Local businesses have been very generous. So there's been a variety, a lot of streams of that revenue coming in. So that's very encouraging. It shows that there's a lot of community support for people. People really want this. I think they see the economic potential of having our trail system connected. I've been dreaming of all the different things that we'll be able to do on this. And, once Joplin's building the Tin Cup Trail, which is going to go from Shoal Creek all the way to the Y on 32nd, and I'm thinking, man, that would be cool. We could have a creek-to-creek run, and they get done at Center Creek and go jump in the water, and that will draw a lot of people, But just stuff like that. There's some really fun stuff that we're going to be able to do. When we get that bridge done, that is going to be a huge draw to this area. Okay, other questions?
So do you have any fundraising events on the calendar now or any planned, and how do we get involved in that?
Well, our number one fundraiser is our ride in October. We've been doing that for, Paul, how long have we been doing that ride, would you say? About 20 years. If I'm not mistaken, this past year was our best year ever as far as funds, by a lot. So it helps that we had only ride on that particular day. We had no competition, so that was great. But also, a lot of people gave extra, so that was great. That's our main fundraiser. This year we just started a run in September by the Roadrunners, and that was another fundraiser that we have done. But mainly, we want to write grants and make business contacts in the community. That's really how we're going to get the majority of this funding. We're talking a lot of money. By the time it's all said and done, we're talking over $1 million. So that's a lot of fundraising, But that's why we're really focusing on businesses and foundations. Okay. By the way, if you'd like to volunteer for the ride, we always need people to man our booths. So that would be something you could jump in on. Or the run, we need crossing guards. So, well, if you want to give me your name, I'll be sure to ring you up. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Way over in the end there.
Helping you get your steps in.
Yeah.
Can you zoom out a little bit and paint the picture of how the Joplin Tin Cup Trail and the Ruby Jack Trail and all the organizations work together? I'm kind of new to just this, so I don't would like to kind of the bigger picture.
All right. Well, that's good. The answer, Joplin is doing the Tin Cup Trail, and they also help us do maintenance on the Frisco, which runs right through the center of their town. The majority of the maintenance they allow us, because that's on our property. So we are responsible for a majority of it. They do help us out. Web City, when you get past Fountain Road, it turns into Web City. And they are really good about keeping the grass cut and, putting up signs. And they just got done over by the fire department. I don't know if any of you have seen that. They just installed a bridge over by the fire station. They said it cost about $10,000, but they did that. So they've been extremely supportive. As I have mentioned, all of the land, the 95% of the land that in the Cardinal that we want to build our trail on belongs to Web City. And they're going to help us with, doing whatever they can to see that trail is done. So does that answer that Good enough?
Yeah.
Hi, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Robert Lawley, the transportation planner with the city of Joplin and Jackson. And I was just gonna relate to yours too. Since I've come on, I've been here for about 6 months now in my new position. I moved over from being the transit director of the trolleys. Excuse me. And one of the things I noticed is we have a lot of trail plans, but they weren't in a centralized location. So now if you go on to joplingis.com, or .org, sorry, that has a layer, there's a map that'll pull up. One of the layers is bike and pedestrian trails. You click that layer and it will show you currently all of the trails in Joplin along with the Frisco and the Ruby Jack. They're all on there. And as we go forward, we're trying to connect everything. So we'll have one centralized system that will go from Tin Cup. The next phase is also the Grand Falls Trail, which will connect to Tin Cup and go on down to the falls. So hopefully at some point you'll be able to get continuous trail riding all the way from the falls all the way up to the Ruby Jack. So we're trying to coordinate and get everything on there. Paul's on one of the boards, so he's been in those discussions. And like I said, I'm brand new, but we're trying to get this connected as much as possible because it's a very valuable resource that can bring all sorts of economic benefits to our region.
When are you going to the falls?
When do we go to the falls? Tin Cup is starting, I think, in the next month or two, so definitely in the spring. I think that'll take about a year, somewhere in there, it should be done. And then the next one will follow up. It's in the final design stages for the falls.
There's no safe way getting out to the falls now.
I'm not exactly sure how they're going to get over the creek, but they are building a path that will be on the north side of the River Road that'll go out to the falls. So, and it is in a floodplain, and there are EPA stuff that goes into that. So
Speed limits are a little high.
well, we're not going to be on the road. It's going to be an off-road track.
Right
so,
now, we're on the street.
yeah, and that's why we're trying to, in Joplin, I'm trying to promote and get our multi-use paths and things off of the streets as much as possible. Unfortunately, a lot of the bike lanes that were added previously, they didn't do a great job of doing it, and it's not real practical when you try to ride in that little groove between the pavement and the curb, or if you get over to the right side, your pedals hit the, the curb. So those are issues that I'm bringing up. There is some swing, so I'm hoping that as we go forward with our complete streets ordinance, we will get more of those projects and we'll get better. So give me some time. I am working on it as quickly as possible.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Could you add that link to the links you mentioned earlier?
Dan, you know anything about how to do that?
I can send you the
Yeah, if you two guys will get together, Dan's our media
I'll put it
guy.
on the PDF on the website.
I can just put it into the group email too if you want to pull it off of there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That works.
All right, that's great. So there is some effort to work together. So that's exciting. I don't know, Mike, if you want to talk about the bridge on the Tin Cup, you want to talk about that all or just later? Put that off. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's,
Mike's the designer, by the way. He's works for Alger Martin. Fortunate to have him on board.
yeah, thank you, Bob. No, it's a suspension bridge. It's something completely different. When Joplin first came up with the idea of putting a bridge over Tin Cup, we were just going to, I call them golf cart bridges. They're just prefabricated, engineered golf cart bridge. You order one, buy it off the shelf, stick it on a foundation, call it a day. But after speaking with Joplin, I don't know, I was inspired. There's a bridge up in Columbia. It's a suspension bridge. Some of you have probably seen it. So, yeah, it's on campus. It's right there on campus, yeah. So, I spoke to the city of Joplin. I said, is this something that you guys would be interested in? It's something completely different. And so we got the approval to go ahead and move forward on that. So, just some stats. The bridge will be 12 feet wide. It's suspended quite a ways in the air. It's got 4 suspension cables, and the length is 114 feet long. So yeah, it's something that we're really excited. It's something that's completely different.
Do you have access that just put that up?
So I'd like to know a little bit
Just
about
go to
that.
our
It's
website.
it's really
Show
interesting.
and project it.
All right, anything else? Good questions, folks. Keep them coming. If you want to leave having questions, now's your chance. Okay, Mike.
I wasn't around when they first established either one of the Frisco or the Ruby Jack, but have enjoyed it and it kind of helped on maintenance. And so I'm assuming that these new trails will require more volunteers and maintenance, or will that be done by various city people? I didn't see, I don't want to misread this, but there won't be any volunteer labor on the building of the trails, will there? Okay.
We'll hire that out, the building. We're talking with Web City right now about, what each party's responsibilities. We're still working on that. Just judging from the past, Web City has been extremely supportive. So I anticipate that they're gonna be very helpful. They're not gonna do everything, but they're gonna do a lot. Okay, anything else? Oh, okay. Anything else? Those are all really good questions. Mike, have anything you want to add before we dismiss for the night?
I just say thank you all. This is a big crowd. I think every year we get it's just that unfortunately photos I needed. Yes, I want to thank everybody. I mean, the crowd just keeps growing. Bob doesn't have, it seems like he has a huge list of volunteers. And he calls and we all go out there and there's just, there's what, 10, 15 people standing around ready to volunteer. So that makes us excited. Everybody's excited for it. We are. So really, we just want to say thank you to all of you for being here. I know you committed this evening to listen to what we had to say. If you guys have any comments at all, again, we have some stuff in the back. We want to learn from you. We want to hear from you guys. It's important to us. So, I mean, even the minor stuff, if the trail's too rough or something like that, let us know. Because we want the trail for you guys. We want it to be nice. So, again,
Suggestions about issues right
now. Okay. Yeah, so does anybody have anything that they would immediately like to throw out there?
Any suggestions on trails that we have already? Any suggestions on things that you want to see done? Janet?
Next to the park benches, I would love to see bike racks scattered throughout the trail. So if people want to take breaks and want to stretch and ride with a group, there's a place for them to lay their bikes. Also, I don't know if this makes any sense or not, but some of the areas are fairly remote where the trail is, and I've been caught in storms out there. I don't know if you're like me. I've been caught out there in a rainstorm and suddenly lightning comes in and stuff, and I didn't see it coming. I checked the weather. I don't know if it even makes sense to have some sort of a shelter you can get underneath out there in some of the more remote places where it's at least a half a mile to a road or something like that, a parking lot.
I thought you were going to open up your house. Right? Hospitality. We, a couple years ago, we had a suggestion on putting up signs. And we followed up and we thought that was really good. So people, in case they knew, they would know where they're at all times. So we went ahead and got the money to do that. That's been huge.
We were able to get that pulled up. That's the Joplin web map. So the area up there with the green line is the trail that comes south from the medical college and stops at 32nd and McClellan right there. So the new Tin Cup Trail would kind of be starting just to the left of that, and it'll go down. I'm not exactly sure of the exact route yet. That it will go down Pointer.
Just that right there.
Perfect.
So up here, it'll come across and it'll come behind, this is the YMCA, and the bridge they're talking about is gonna be positioned about right here off of the parking lot. So that you'll be able to park in this parking lot south of the Y and take the suspension bridge. The trail itself will come around and loop this way. So you can do either way. You can go across the bridge or you can just follow the trail. And then the trail will make its way down through here and it'll link with McIndoe Park right here. That's the existing trail. And the way these are, if you can kind of zoom in a little bit, we'll show them kind of how we've set up. Unfortunately, the aerials from Newton County don't show up very well on our map right now. Okay, yeah, so you want right over here, this little area. If you kind of zoom in and keep that, that'll show you the actual trail. It's probably gonna be hard to see on the aerial, but that's the existing right now. It starts here, runs along the creek and goes all the way down to Wildcat Glades, under the interstate and things like that. So we have that marked. It does go to there. Whenever the Audubon Society unfortunately set up their trails, they went with a 5-foot trail. And so you really can't ride bicycles over there. You can walk, it's a great walking trail, but it isn't safe for bikes. The topography is very hilly. You'd almost have to be a daredevil mountain biker to go over there, so we don't try to put it on the map. The Grand Falls is gonna run on the south side of this creek, and it'll come from here, we go to the plaza over here to where the falls are. I think they're about right here. And it'll be, like, as I said, on this north, it'll be on the south bank, but it's on the north side of that road that's currently out there. It is still in the final design phase. I think they are still trying to acquire a couple of right-of-way issues, but I think they've been pledged, they just haven't been acquired yet. So hopefully that'll be happening in the near future too. Both of these trails were secured with TAP grants, so they are fully funded. They're just in the final design stages, and then they'll start construction. If we can go back up here just quickly, up by the hospital again, kind of scroll up. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a mouse, and I can't drive without a mouse. If you zoom in on one of those, we'll see the two colors. Joplin put in a lot of what's called a multi-use path. So it's a 10-foot wide area that was designed for walking or cycling, but they didn't sign them, they're not striped, there's no badges on them, there's nothing that lets you know you can even ride a bicycle on there. So on the map, you'll see there's two different colors to show that it's two directional. Some of them, like bike lanes, are on opposite sides, so it shows you which direction you should be going. If you zoom in a little bit more, it should break them up and show both of them, sorry. Just to kind of give you an idea how you can play with it. So when you go to this website for the first time, there'll be a picture of a map that pops up in the middle of your browser. Just click on that map. And then, there you go, kind of shows those. Then over here, there'll be this thing that says layers list, and it'll be popped open. Can you pop that open for a second? There you go. You want to click the little box next to where it says bike lanes. And then it'll be just like Google. You can scroll around on the maps, zoom in, zoom out, anything like you can do on Google Maps. And like see here, it shows you the two paths so that you know that there's two directions on that path. You can go north or you can go south.
How do you cross 32nd?
I think proposed, they're gonna go straight south and then go to the west across, basically using the crosswalks. I know originally when they had done it, they wanted to do some sort of an underpass board under it, but that's very expensive. So if it's a bridge, it's easier to do. If you have to pour under a street, it's very expensive very quickly. And then that path goes up. I've had discussions with Joplin Parks Department. So they're gonna start redoing the parks so that they have one-way traffic. Again, there wasn't a lot of coordination over the years. Some of those paths are 6 foot, some of them are 8 foot. You know, anything that's gonna have two-way traffic with bicycles really needs to be 10 feet or bigger wide. That's kind of the new industry standard. So Paul's gonna work on that and try to get it so that this links and goes through the new Mercy Park that's up there. So there'll be dedicated, sidewalks that you can go in different directions, better instructions. Over on Murphy Boulevard, we have a path that goes almost all the way up there. We do have two big problem areas. There are two railroad tracks that they just stopped when they built it. Contacting the railroad and getting them to answer you is very, very difficult. So I'm still trying to get that done so that we can connect those over the tracks so that when you go up there, you don't have to ride out into the middle of traffic to get around that. It's very frustrating, but that kind of shows you that is the Mahaska Trail system there that links Main Street over to the Freeman area. So ideally, you currently can go up and down Main Street. It's not real safe. The plan is to use Wall Street and Joplin Street in the future to make one-way traffic for bikes. So it would be protected lanes, they'll have ballards, they'll have things like that so that people don't just drive over into you when you're trying to ride a bicycle. So that's in the future. As you go up, you can see the Frisco, and then it goes all the way up into the Ruby Jack as well on the map. If you zoom in, you can see those two. So get on there, play with it. If you have any comments, any suggestions, please send them to me. Our GIS technician is very excited. He took on this project to get everything added, and so it's been very great. Ultimately, I would like us to have potential ones on there too, just so that you can see, all right, this is planned, how do we connect it? I mean, all of these routes, almost all Joplin parks have a trail in it. It's just you can't get there with your bicycle. You have to drive there, get out of your car, and then ride and walk. So the emphasis now is getting everything connected. Are there any questions on that? Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your meeting.
No, we can get that. That's important. All right, we're about out of time. If you have any other questions you'd like to ask, you're welcome to stay after. We'll try to answer them as best as possible. On the way out, we have some refreshments. They're in the back. Please take them, because I don't want to take them home. I'll eat them all, and my wife will be mad at me. So please take some, and we thank you. You can always get a hold of us on our website and email. So thank you very much for coming.